The only place in Mexico I've been is Mexico City. So I think it's like I like the chaos of Mexico City, and I think people are very like loving and generous, and like the audience is fucking great there. So I want to experience more of Mexico, but the times I've been there, it's been fucking great.
What's your best memory when you were here?
I mean, we were at that punk market, and we ended up playing like a show there for like 4 people in a room where we could barely fit. And I mean, had great food, great tequila, and the audience last time we played Mexico City was really lovely. But I've only seen the tip of the iceberg, I feel like, because it's always been so short in and out. Like, I feel like Mexico City seems like such a town where there's a whole world to be found if you have enough time to sort of seek it out.
I mean, Mexico City, as you described it, it's very chaotic. So that makes it a great city to write music and to write angry music. But you don't live here and you write like really loud punk music in Denmark, where everything seems so perfect to us. How does living in Denmark influence your music?
Well, everything's not perfect here. Like we got a like healthcare systems and stuff like that, but like we got like a government that's fucking garbage, and the way that we treat the refugees and talk about people and it's really shameful, and there's a lot of fucked up things in our system that I'm not proud of, and also, like, you know, people say that Denmark is apparently the happiest country in the world, but I mean, we're the biggest consumers of Prozac in the world, you know. People are pretty miserable, you know.
Okay, that's something I didn't
know that.
I didn't know about Denmark.
But actually, you guys played outside of the parliament, right? Like 3 weeks back on the Syrian sitting. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
How's that situation like in Denmark right now? So what I know is that like government is kind of paying Syrians to kind of voluntarily going back to their country because they cannot deport them. So how's that thing there?
Yeah, they're basically denying them permit to stay here in the country, and they say that Syria is safe for them again. But these people who are gonna get forced back are facing prison and torture and death. So it's not safe, and they're basically willing to send these families into certain death or prison.
Okay, that's really fucked up, and of course we didn't know that. But is there like how can artists and musicians help that situation, or what can you do on your side?
I mean, the best we can really do is try and shed some light on it, and that's why we went and played in front of the parliament at the sit-in with the families. But it's frustrating because, I mean, they're sitting there every day, and they have been for 2 weeks, and there's been demonstration, but there's no media coverage, and there seems to be no real response from the politicians. So how we get them to listen or actually care, I still don't know. But people are trying to yell, and hopefully it will get heard eventually.
Yeah, I think playing shows is a good way to make that, and that's actually really punk rock of you, because it's against the system and against the government. So that's something that's been missing in punk rock over the last probably 10 years, you know.
Since Green Day.
Yeah, since Green Day. Bands don't get involved in politics anymore. And what do you think about that? Do you think bands should get more involved, or it depends on the band, or what should happen?
It depends. Like, I usually don't like my art too pronounced politically or too literal, unless you're a crass or someone. So I think it's I think I don't know if bands have to be political, but people need to stand up.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, we have to raise the voice when it have to. Look, Elias, Six Shelter for me is one of the best albums of the year, and for us, I think. And how was the writing process? You know, it was long, it was short. You have this song from a long time, or?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's always a mess, and it's like, you know, life is usually lived on shaky ground in my case, and so you're just trying to channel life or whatever experiences you live through into song form, and it usually takes roughly a year or so, and yeah, I think I'm naturally wired in a way where I try and make what I hear or see or live or experience and make sense of it by putting it into song form. That's kind of like the only way I know how to make sense of things.
Okay, and well, I was reading your press kit, and I really freaked out when I saw who your producer is.
Yeah.
He's Sonic Boom from Spaceman 3.
Amazing.
So, that's amazing, and I wanted to know how working with him was, because obviously he's such an experienced musician that he has strong opinions about music. I wanted to know if was there anything different in your creative process while working with him? Was it like always? Was it faster? Was it slower? What can you tell us about him?
We got along so well. Like he proved himself to be a kindred spirit, and he showed up to the studio in Lisbon with a truckload of weird machinery and pedals and guitars and stuff. And we laughed a lot. We kind of had the same twisted sort of humor about things, and he was good at listening when there needs to be listened to, throw in an idea when we were banging our heads against the wall, stand back when that was needed too. So I mean, he was just a passenger along the ship, and it all like flowed pretty naturally.
Okay, and you said he stand back when he needed to. When does a producer needs to step back? You know, because Mario here, the guy who's sitting in front of me, is my producer, and I want him to hear that.
You want him to step the fuck back?
Sometimes. But when did you need Sonic Boom? Yeah.
I would never want to seek out a producer that would sort of take charge or tell us what to do. We kind of know where we want to go. We just want a sparring partner or a partner in crime that can kind of help along with the ideas and have some expertise. And I think like a guy like Sonic Boom, he has a very particular sonic thumbprint that only like really belongs to him. So yeah, and I just thought that would lend itself nicely to the kind of songs we were writing these days, and I think it did.
That's great, Elias. And so I wanted to ask about, I have this feeling that Iceage is kind of like a very dark band. So I wanted to ask, do you need to like feel like shit to be creative, or do you think like you just kind of have to understand like chaos and conflict to be able to express it?
I mean, my life has a tendency to be quite chaotic, but I don't think necessarily I have to feel like shit. But sometimes, sometimes there has been like a corruptive force when we make a record and you kind of feel like you put everything that you had in you into that record. You kind of feel hollow on the other side. You can feel emptied out, and you have no nothing to latch your ideas onto, because you're just squeezed out like a wet piece of cloth. And I've sometimes had tendency to go out and like get lost or create chaos in my life to sort of fill up that void. So yeah, you can get a bit desperate for experience when you're in that state of needing inspiration, and that could lead to many things. But I mean,
and maybe quarantine has made that more intense, right? Because, for example, I kept seeing during quarantine all this like news saying like beware quarantine, binge drinking, and personally I had to like used alcohol as a false cure for anxiety, for example. So how have you dealt with with madness during quarantine? Like, for example, I had to like even stop smoking weed, for example, because I was like feeling so like paranoid. So how have you dealt with madness during the lockdown?
I mean, sometimes it was frustrating, and sometimes it was quite dark. You know, it gets very dark and cold here in the winter months. Yeah, I think the one thing I take from this is that when a worldwide catastrophe like this happens, like if you were to before Corona and somebody told you in 3 months a pandemic is gonna hit the entire Earth, you'd be terrified. Good reason to, but when you're inside of it, like, you find that life actually continues within the catastrophe, and I think that's something quite comforting in that. But it's been the polar opposite of the life I used to live. You know, I used to go around and play concerts and constantly being on the move, and I've had to learn how to actually be content with staying put, and I think that was perhaps an important lesson.
Totally.
I'm not sure.
And well, you know, about writing music, I don't want to know why you're writing music in English, because that's a dumb fucking question. But I want to know, are there any limitations to writing music in a different language than your own language? Because are there any things that aren't really easy to say in a different language, or is it easier to you to write this way?
I think initially we just started writing in English because all the bands in Denmark at the time were singing in Danish, and we wanted to be different.
Okay.
But also, like, you know, when I speak Danish, like, it's painfully direct to me in a way. You know, like I it's hard for me to write beautifully in Danish because I have an accent that belongs to my neighborhood and slang and all these things that doesn't really lend as well to poetry. So I think I write better in English.
Okay, and has there been any limitations? Like, well, not right now because you're kind of an international band right now, but starting off in Denmark, playing songs in English, have there been any limitations or hate from the local scene or something like that?
Limitations? What do you mean?
Limitations.
No, limitations.
Oh, limitations? Yeah, of course, man. Like, there's been no shows and no bars, no nothing for the longest time. Now you can do sit-down shows again, but I mean, for the last year there were not much live music, so I don't know what's going on in the scene.
No, but I meant when you were starting off with your band, were like other bands saying like, no, I don't want to play with Iceage because they sing in English, or that never happened?
We didn't want to play with anybody. We hated everything. We thought the indie scene. We thought the indie scene was bullshit. We thought the punk scene was bullshit. We thought the top 40 scene. Like, we didn't like anyone, and we got banned from every venue we played because our friends would come and smash all the furniture and break all the mirrors and so on. And Yeah, I think like in the beginning we just wanted to be like a confrontation to what was there before and kind of do it in spite of everything else.